Hey guys, in this video I'm gonna show you how to use useReducer in your React Native app. And I will also explain the benefits of useReducer over useState. I'm gonna build a counter app using useState and then we'll convert into useReducer hook. By the end of this video, you'll know how to perfectly use and implement useReducer. Why we should use useReducer over useState. First, let's talk about why you should consider using useReducer instead of useState. Although useState is simple and easy to use hook for managing state in React, it becomes difficult to manage complex state structures and actions as your application grows larger. That's where useReducer comes in, and it provides more structured and scalable way to manage state by encapsulating state and actions within a reducer function. Now that I know why we should use useReducer, let's jump into coding. So I'm gonna navigate to my project directory. So cd, YouTube. I'm using Expo because it's gonna save our tons of time and make our development process simple. You can also use React Native CLI. So npx create Expo app, and app name is my app. Hit enter. Okay, cool. Let's open our project on VS Code. To run app, open your terminal using Command or Control J and write expo start. It's gonna run our metro server to run the app. I'm hitting I to run my Render simulator. In case if you're using Windows, you can hit A to run your Render simulator. Okay, our app is up and running. Now navigate to app.js in the root of our project directory. So in here, we do not need this code, so I'm gonna remove this. So what I want in here, I want to have a piece of state that contains the count of a number, and the number will increment and decrement by two functions. Let's define our state, const counter, set counter, then the value is 0. Now let's build the UI first. So text, the text will contain the counter that we have declared in the state, and then we're gonna have two buttons, one for increment and the other one for decrement. So button from React Native, and button has a title prop, so title is plus for increment. And let's define our decrement function. So button, and it's gonna have a title of minus for decrement. Cool. So the buttons does not contain any children, so we can make them self-closing. Let's call the functions. So onPress, handle increment, and for decrement, onPress, handle decrement. Let's define our functions in the top. So const handle increment equals to an empty function. Let's copy that and replace the name with handle decrement. Cool. Let's increment the counter first. So set count bracket count plus 1. So what's happening here, when someone press the plus icon, it's gonna call the handle press, and handle press will add 1 with the counter. Let's define our decrement function in the same way. So set count counter minus 1, because in this case we're gonna decrement the count. Let's try our functions. So increment and decrement working fine, I guess. Perfect. Now let's convert this code and replace useState with useReducer. So let's import useReducer from React. So useReducer returns an array of state and dispatch. State is going to hold our states that we're going to define, and dispatch method helps to dispatch the functions to set the states. useReducer takes two parameters, reducer function and initial state. So let's define our initial state in the top. So const initial state equals to object, and that object will gonna contain the counter, and the value is 0. Perfect. So I think there is a spelling mistake, so let's fix that out. Okay, cool. Now let's define our reducer function. Let's create the function. So reducer have two parameters. One is state and the other one is action. And inside the function, we're gonna switch between different cases based on the action type. So switch. Let's define the cases first. So case 1 is increment. Make sure to define the cases perfectly because we're gonna use them in dispatch function. So return, for now return is empty, we're gonna define that later. Then case decrement, it's gonna empty for now, and we're gonna define a default case also that's gonna throw an error. Perfect. Let's pass the action type in this switch. So action dot type, action is coming from reducer. Perfect. So now that we have declared our reducer and initial state, we can remove or comment out this state. Let's replace this set count with dispatch. So dispatch is gonna take an object and that's gonna contain a type. So object type, and the type is increment. So whenever you're gonna hit the increment, handle increment, it's gonna go to the increment switch case. Let's define what we want to return for increment. So return object, and that object, and this object is going to contain the key that we want to change, in this case counter, that we define in the initial state. So counter state dot counter plus 1, because we want to increment the counter by 1 on the click of handle increment function. Okay, let's complete the decrement function exactly the same way. So remove this, we dispatch an object, that object gonna have a type of decrement. So on click of handle decrement, it's gonna go to the decrement switch case. So let's return the object with counter and state dot counter minus 1, because we're gonna reduce the number by 1. Okay, cool. So now that we have completed all the necessary steps, we can remove the unused codes. But we have an error. Counter is not defined because we removed the useState hook. So as you know, we declared the initial state, and that state is returned on the state returns from useReducer. So we have to remove the counter with state dot counter. That's gonna fix the error, and let's try the output, and it's working fine. Increment, and let's decrement. Perfect. So this is how you can use useReducer and make your app more scalable. Feel free to comment down below for any query, and don't forget to like and subscribe our channel, because we're gonna come with banger in future videos. Thanks.